Ty, widzowie, była mowa o tym materiale, znalazł go Borysław. Widzowie, mówiłem ostatnio o tym, że jak wyszedł Harry Potter, to jest komiczne wręcz, że wychodził Harry Potter i na każdą platformę została zrobiona całkowicie inna gra. I teraz, wiecie, ktoś powie, sorry, to jest normalne, że na Game Boya Advance'a, na Game Boya Colora i na PC-ta została zrobiona inna gra. Ale to na PC-ta, na PS1 i na Xboxa zostały zrobione 3 zupełnie inne gry przez 3 zupełnie inne studia. I to jest niesamowite, bo teraz się robi jedną grę i robi się 3 porty. I obejrzymy sobie materiał o Harrym Potterze Kamieniu Filozoficznym, jak to wyglądało. Dawaj, let's
If you
go.
remember PS1 Hagrid spamming Flipendo and awkward Quidditch controls, then
Ja
you
właśnie
grew up
tego nie pamiętam.
playing Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. But which one? Because there were 5 versions of the game released, and I don't mean 5 ports of the same game. No, 5 absolutely different games developed by different studios.
To jest
So
niesamowite
let's
dla
take
mnie.
a look at all of them. To begin with, let me
A ja pamiętam, jak grałem w tego na Game Boy Advance'a, on był mega fajną platformóweczką.
take you back to November of
Grałem w
2001.
PC-tową
The biggest
wersję
book since the
advancedową.
Bible gets adapted into a movie franchise.
Kurwa, widzowie, ja to nawet mam. Ja to nawet gdzieś mam. Nie, Virtua Tennis, to nie to. Mam! Harry Potter i Kamień Filozoficzny, stary. Mam na Advance'a. To było giga dobre. To była naprawdę fajna gierka fest. Mam, widzowie, oryginalny cartridge. Kurwa, rzeczywiście. No. A tu mam platformówkę, widzowie, Shaman Kinga. Jedna z najgorszych gier, w jaką kiedykolwiek zagrałem. Ta gra jest takim gównem, że za dzieciaka doszedłem do pewnego etapu i nie wiedziałem, co robić dalej. Ciekawy jestem, czy byłem po prostu głupim dzieckiem, czy gra była tak nielogiczna. No ale nie wiem, potrafiłem wtedy przejść Diablo, ale nie potrafiłem przejść tego. Zagrać w jakieś adwansowe gierki, bo adwansowe gierki naprawdę były świetnymi platformówkami. Chłopie, Aria of Sorrow. Najlepsza platformówka, jaka kiedykolwiek wyszła. Dobra, oglądamy.
And as everyone knows, movies this big are usually followed by an avalanche of merchandise. Toys, wands, pancake mix, cologne, toilet seats, and of course, games. If you were reading gaming magazines back in the day, then you would see ads for those Harry Potter games on almost every other page. Now, I'm going to start with the PlayStation 1 version because that seems to be the one most people have played back in the day. And straight away, like many movie tie-in games, you can tell this one was developed while the movie was still in production. It's trying to use likenesses from the film, but because the movie was still kind of taking shape, footage probably wasn't available, so they resorted to using art. The developers also leaned on the book quite a lot, as
To
it
jest
was the
wersja PS-owa, to jest... Ej, ja oglądałem kiedyś taki zajebisty materiał, też go musimy obejrzeć, który tłumaczył, dlaczego w PS-owym systemie tworzenia gier te wszystkie obiekty, słuchajcie, się poruszały w trakcie poruszania się twojego albo kamery i to było tak świetnie wytłumaczone.
only complete piece of
to jest
source
faktycznie
material
wszystko
available
łazi,
at the
nie?
time. For example, Dumbledore was given a few of his nonsensical lines from the book.
Nitwit, blubber, oddment, tweak.
Actually, that's the only time you see him in the game, and this is all he ever says.
Ah, huggy, watty Hogwarts.
Wow, they turned the most powerful wizard in the world into a deranged old man. Excuse me, Harry, you're getting in the way of my walk cycle. The talking paintings are quite cool, although some of them say things that are a bit questionable.
I can't remember the last time I opened up. I'm a bit rusty, you see. I'm not sure I still can.
The jagged PlayStation 1 graphics mean the game keeps bordering between charming and disturbing.
Remarkable, isn't it?
Go home to your mother, Potter.
Oh, sorry. You don't have one, do you?
Holy shit, that's savage.
Just ignore him. Us Gryffindors should stick together.
Yeah, he says that and then just proceeds to bugger off the next moment. I must say, this game has a really good soundtrack. The composer, Jeremy Soule, actually wrote it before John Williams did the movie version, and yet they both seem to convey the same feeling of magic. Ah, Flipendo, everyone's favorite video game only spell. It's also the only thing Harry says throughout the entire game. Oh, here we go, the dreaded flying lesson. This thing used to give me nightmares. If I didn't know better, I'd think the developers were trying to pay homage to Superman 64 with these awful flying controls. No, oh shit.
Nie, te systemy do latania w takich grach. Nienawidzę tych, słuchajcie, tej minigierki. Ogólnie ja nie rozumiem idei tego, jak miałeś jakąś grę, która, nie wiem, była platformówką, grą akcji, bla, bla, bla. I nagle stwierdzałeś, zróbmy, kurwa, jedną misję z lataniem. I nagle programujesz cały system latania, który jest o kant dupy wytłuc, tylko po to, żeby zrobić jedną misję, której i tak większość osób nie lubi, nie? Ja rozumiem na przykład, dlaczego latanie zostało dodane do GTA, bo to o wiele bardziej zwiększyło, wiecie, wertykalność wszystkich pojazdów. Czajcie, nie? Latanie, wertykalność. A tu cała kolejna rodzina pojazdów, nie? I to było super. I ta szkoła latania w GTA San Andreas jak najbardziej wydaje mi się, że miała sens. Ale w tych takich starych platformówkach, oj nie. Albo jak na siłę był dodawany level wodny. O ty kurwa, kto lubi wodne levele w grach komputerowych? Pewnie te same zjeby, co lubią zimowe biomy, nie?
Ho ho, here he is, the legend himself, PS1 Hagrid. Look, even Harry's like, wow, I didn't realize the poly count in this game was that low.
But watch yourself. There are some weird creatures running around out there.
Yeah, I know, I've run into PS1 Hagrid already.
Not good. Keep trying. Not good. Oh dear.
Go back to the Muggles, Potter. You hardly belong in the company
A to jest niby Draco Malfoy? Czemu on jest rudy?
of wizards like me.
Oh, come on, cats, follow me. Come on. Oh, this is as bad as that Queen Amidala escort mission from the Phantom Menace game. Ooh, looks like Quirrell's had some lip fillers put in.
Dark arts, you're just in time.
Lubię to. Jak się nakładało na trójkątny trapezowy łeb w tym wypadku, jakąś taką teksturę, która była stylizowana na zdjęcie i była taki płaska morda wklejona jak z gazety, nie?
Some of these paintings, I swear to God, like the why though meme would fit in so well here. Shit. Hold on, so I fall into a vat of acid while being chased by a troll, and the next thing I know, I'm in the hospital wing, and Nurse Pomfrey's like, don't you go falling into acid again, you naughty boy? You know what? Screw this. Find another seeker. I'm done. Midway through the game, Hagrid decides to
do pustyni posysają. Słuchaj, burza, opuść mój stream.
pull Harry out of school and take him.
Zupełnie na odwrót. Nie czujecie tego, widzowie? Patrzcie, ja wam to pokażę. Nie czujecie, widzowie, tego obrazka? Zobaczcie. Wchodzisz, stary, na pustynną mapę w grze i nagle masz ten motyw muzyczny. Słyszysz go? Słyszysz go po prostu? Możesz patrzeć na ten obrazek i to słyszeć. To jest życie. Nagle się, stary... I ja wam pokażę, co słyszysz. Ja wam to pokażę. O, to słyszysz. Mistrzostwo, kurwa. Dobra, kontynuujmy materiał. A co słyszysz, kurwa, na zimowym biomie, stary?
To Diagon Alley for some
A na
shopping.
zimowym biomie słyszysz, stary, to. Uwaga, poczekajcie, puszczę wam. A to słyszysz. Już wiesz, że gra jest, wiesz, jakimś fiutem do ściany, jak słyszysz taką muzykę, nie? To jest soundtrack z Diablo 4, widzowie. PTSD się włącza, nie? PTSD, bieganie i nic nie robienia, szukanie mobów na ekranie. Dobra.
Go to Gringotts to get some Canuts, Sickles and Galleons. I'm off to the leaky cauldron for a few butterbeers if you need me. I'll meet you when you're all done.
Oh,
Mi
I
się
see
to
what's
podoba,
going
że
on.
cały Hagrid jest, słuchajcie, zrobiony jako jedna kulka z rękoma.
You want me to buy all this stuff
I
using
na przykład można byłoby kupić tego Hagrida tylko po to, żeby na jego podstawie wrzucić inną teksturę i zrobić z niego, słuchajcie, Gravelera w Pokemonach, nie? Nie musiałbyś przemodelowywać, stary, siatki jego.
my own money and you're gonna go get drunk at the pub.
But you must complete the paperwork by collecting the appropriate forms.
I must say, I never expected that I'd be collecting forms at a bank in this children's game about wizards. If that's not enough, the floor's slippery. Oh no, I remember this part. Wait, no, stop. Oh, god, stop. And I thought the customer service at my local branch was bad. But in all seriousness, I've got to say...
wersja nie miała takich momentów w ogóle. Podstawowa wersja była zwykłą 3D platformówką i tyle.
This game's got some really good voice acting, especially for the time. There's a really varied cast of British voice actors, which makes a nice change from every other game having US voice acting.
Dear me, you'll have to try again if you want to make any progress.
Welcome to Gringotts, Mr. Potter.
Do you wish to collect some knuts?
Ej, a teraz generalnie ludzie już nie lubią Harry'ego Pottera, nie? Teraz Harry Potter jest kurwa nie jest politycznie poprawny. Na przykład zarzucają Harry'emu Potterowi to, że gobliny są zrobione na stereotypie ludzi wyznających judaizm. Nie? Teraz już ludzie nie lubią. A nie są? Nie wiem. Ja jestem Żydem, widzowie, z pochodzenia, wiecie? Mój pradziadek był tym Żydem. Takim, nie, w sensie religijnie też, nie? Ale był tak typowo, miał matkę Żydówkę. Był, słuchajcie, moja prababka była sprzątaczką u niego, nie? A on był tym prawnikiem w kancelarii. Stąd ten nos, stary. Genów, stary, nie oszukasz. Genów nie oszukasz.
Now that I've withdrawn my money, it's time to spend it. Not so fast.
Tak. Żydem jest się pochodzeniowo tylko wtedy, gdy twoja matka była Żydówką. Tak jest. Po ojcu się na przykład nie liczy, więc ja nie jestem, ale to mówię wam, że ja mam korzenie takie, nie?
These shopkeepers make you work for your purchase.
It'll cost you $1
Ciekawe.
for the three.
Ja tam generalnie lubię, wiecie, ideę pochodzenia ludzi. To jest historia taka, drzewo genomu. To jest chyba w pewnym wieku cię to po prostu zaczyna interesować, nie? W pewnym wieku cię to zaczyna interesować, ale są nawet w Polsce takie, wiecie, kanały, no nie? Gdzie ludzie potrafią swoje drzewo tam, nie wiem, do 10 pokoleń wstecz prześledzić, nie? Świetna sprawa. Jeszcze w ogóle jak masz, wiesz, jakąś taką rodzinę, która ma jakieś takie na kartach historii, gdzieś jakoś mogło się zapisać, no nie? Wiesz, nie wiem, jakiegoś generała w starej farmie miałeś coś takiego, to jest niesamowita sprawa. Ja mam tak z jednej strony, a z drugiej strony mam, widzę, gruzińskie korzenie, to też ciekawe, nie?
Words, but you'll need to find my giant purple toad first.
Alright, I've got an idea. Why don't you shut up and take my money and give me the item?
Excellent.
Odkryłeś z kumplem, że jesteście dalekimi kuzynami? Widzisz, zajebiście, nie? Ale nie przeszkodziło wam to w seksualnej relacji, mam nadzieję. Taki żarcik.
You have 3 sickle coins that entitles you to purchase an
Ej, Zajw wycina takie rzeczy na YouTube'a, czy to leci na YouTubie też? Niech ludzie są trochę przyzwyczajeni do tego, co może się... A ja dobry jestem, nie? Materiał stary o Harrym Potterze, to wpadnie stary na YouTube'a, wiesz, jeszcze w jakiś... Chociaż czy dzieci się dzisiaj interesują Harrym Potterem? Jaki jest wiek średniego odbiorcy Harry'ego Pottera? Przecież to stary... Dzieci się teraz Fortnite'em interesują, nie Harrym Potterem, nie? Wystarczy sobie wejść na jakikolwiek kanał oparty o Harrym Potterze, to ludzie po 30 lat mają, nie? Dobra, to wyjebane.
Eagle Owl Feather. My
Czym się
Eagle Owl
dzieci
is in
interesują obecnie? Jakimi markami? Serio? Wiem, że z pozycji youtubera pytać, czym się dzieci interesują po ostatnich wydarzeniach, to tak nie w porządku, ale Psi Patrol, Roblox, Psi Patrol, Roblox, FIFA, Fortnite, nie? Monster, Skibidi Toilet, nie wiem o co chodzi z tym w ogóle. Hobby Horsing, Brawl Starsy, okej. Ekipa, Brawl Starsy, okej. Brawl Starsy to jest mobilka taka, nie? Że tam masz ekipę, pojawiają ci się i zaczynają się bić z drugą ekipą, nie? Co jest w tym takiego niesamowitego? A to nie jest taka trochę upośledzona idea Tower Defense'a? No bo to jest takie, mi się wydaje, z czym mi się to kojarzy? Z Legion TD. Taki Głupi tower defense, bez elementu tego taktycznego, bo to tam wszystko chyba polega na tym, jak dużo klikasz, nie? Jak dużo tapujesz, jak długo, stary, rozwijasz tą armię, jak dużo SMS-ów wysłałeś, żeby to rozwinąć. Jak mi się wydaje, że te Brawl Starsy tak mi się totalnie kojarzą jako taki nielogiczny grinder, nie? W Brawl Stars jest e-sport nawet? Co ty gadasz? Nie? To taki Battle Royale. Dobra, tam biegniesz i strzelasz. Tak? Co ty gadasz? Ja myślałem, że to samo, że Brawl Stars to jest taki, że tam nie masz kontroli nad tymi. A dobra, whatever, nie gadaj. To jest hero shooter.
He's rather highly struck. He must be fed before you can charm a feather from him.
Then what the hell am I paying you for? Jesus Christ, Diagon Alley really needs a consumer standards review. Back at Hogwarts now, where Hagrid leaves an 11-year-old boy unattended at night in the middle of a dark forest. What's the worst that could happen? Oh shit, it's a ring wraith. Alright, better get ready to fight him.
Tak! Z Clash Royale pomyliłem. Dobra, ja pomyliłem dwie marki, no. Jestem jak ta babka, co cały czas mówi, czy masz ty, czy na Nintendo coś grasz. Włącz mi to Nintendo, trzeba maila wysłać.
What? He just faints? That's it?
I've got a present for you, Harry. I made it myself.
Oh, nice flute. Let's play some tunes. Oh yeah, John Williams, you've got nothing on this. Alright then, it's time for the final trials. First up, Fluffy. Ron, lay down the beat.
Ej, to jest najgorsze, że w PC-towej wersji tam nie było takich walk z bossami, nie?
Ah, shit. Alright, with the dog asleep, we have to fight Devil's Snare, and then after that, it's more flying.
Ej, a generalnie w filmie oni skipnęli jeden element, nie? Nie wiem, czy pamiętacie. W książce chyba było jeszcze wyzwanie alchemiczne i tego w filmie nie ma. Tak? Ale dobrze gadam? Chyba alchemiczne było wyzwanie, tak?
Ah, shit. We then move on to a simplified version of chess, and thank God for that, because I still have no idea how to play chess. And then the next trial is having to figure out this crooked street game. I wonder which one of the Hogwarts teachers thought up of this one. I'm willing to bet it's Professor Sprout. She's always looked like a street hustler to me. You then take on a giant set of armor, and finally, here he is, Voldyquirrell. For the final battle, you have to use the mirror as a weapon against Voldemort. I mean, it makes sense. The scene in the movie and the book wasn't exactly brimming with action. You also get this part, look, press X to hurt Quirrell. That's up there with press F to pay respect. And that's it, the game ends just as it began, with a bunch of pictures in an album. It's difficult to separate the nostalgia from looking at the game objectively, but I would say, apart from the Quidditch sequence, it's a pretty decent kids action-adventure puzzle game. So next up, let's take a look at the PC version. As mentioned before, this was actually made by a different developer, No Wonder, while the PlayStation 1 game was developed by Argonaut Games. But they do share assets like art and music and voice actors. By the looks of it, WB Games gave both developers some overall points they had to hit, like Quidditch and having to learn spells and going through dungeons, fighting trolls, collectible cards, beans, that kind of stuff. How they got there or how they implemented those mechanics was really up to the developer. For example, in the PlayStation 1 version, the lesson with Quirrell takes place about midway through the game, and you've got to do these button sequence combinations in order to learn the spell. In the PC version, it takes place at the very start of the game, and in order to learn each of the spells, you have to trace the symbol with the mouse. Oh, shit. Dumbledore doesn't mutter nonsense in this version, but he is wearing some fashion specs. Oh, that might just be my graphics card. Also, what's wrong with Dumbledore's voice? Like, it changes so much in this one part.
A nasty horde of fire crabs. Now, up the stairs and off to your lessons.
You should probably get that looked at, Professor. And straight away you can see the PC devs had a lot more resource to work with. Hogwarts is bigger, although parts of it feel strangely narrower than the PlayStation 1 version. This game obviously has better graphics, but the PlayStation 1 version does have better aesthetics. Some more arbitrary differences between the versions include Hagrid actually looking like a human being, Harry having to scream all of his spells out, and a variety of random glitches.
Kiedy ja w to grałem ostatnio? O speedrunnerski glitch.
Overall,
zagrać
it's
kiedyś, bo
pretty
to
much
giera
a
na
give
3
and take
godziny.
between these two games. The Troll Chase is better on PlayStation 1, but Quidditch is better on PC, although it's still not great. The PC version is a longer game, but not necessarily better. A lot of the sections, like the library and the spell challenges, are just dragged out. As for the final endgame tasks, they're pretty similar to the PlayStation.
W Harrym Potterze stary na PC to jest walka z bossem? Taka i grasz? To zupełnie tego nie pamiętam.
One version with some alterations. For example, the chess section is shorter, but the potions are a bit more complicated. And every time you get the wrong one,
You die. Essa.
and then finally we get
Kurwa, gry dla dzieci kiedyś miały ten...
to Voldiquirrell. Wait, what? Come on, flipendo him. He's just standing there.
Widziałem właśnie, Lord. No, a skąd to masz?
Oh, he's definitely gonna need to see a chiropractor after that little move.
Pora to
This
chyba
final
odświeżyć,
battle
widzowie.
also uses the mirror to cast a
Po co
spell at
zagrać w
Voldemort.
nową grę, w którą nigdy nie grałem, jak na przykład Red Dead Redemption i każdy już jest zajebiste? Jak mogę na przykład zagrać jeszcze raz starego Harry'ego Pottera?
But get a load of this ending. So you defeat Voldemort and Harry faints, but then Dumbledore just strolls in,
Dzięki,
like
Zagos,
a
za
second
Prima.
later. And I thought PS1 Hagrid getting you to do chores for him was bad. You didn't feel like helping me fight Wizard Hitler there, old man? Anyway, the game ends with the same art as the PlayStation.
Co to stary te napisy, nie? Ale on tak to wypowiedział, też to tak usłyszałem. Napisy dobrze poleciały.
Version. It's hard to say which one of these two versions are better. They were clearly both developed to be like the main flagship version of the game. I think it really depends on which one you have that nostalgic attachment towards, so let me know in the comments which one you grew up playing. Alright, so let's move on to the handheld versions. Wow, they're really
Advance?
getting their money's worth out of this artwork. Puzzles, that's the best way to describe this game. Lots and lots of
To było
puzzles. And
zajebiste.
why are there so
Multum
many
tego było,
barrels
no.
at Hogwarts? To be honest, there's not too much I can say about this game. It follows the same basic structure as the other ones,
Dla mnie jako
lessons
dzieciaka to
interspliced
było
with story
ciężkie.
events and then the occasional Quidditch. I guess the graphics are pretty good for an early Game Boy Advance
To jest
game.
wersja z
I
kolora,
personally
czy z
found this game
Advance'a?
really
Nie, z
frustrating as a
Advance'a.
kid. Every time you die or fall through the floor, you have to restart the entire section. And I remember having pages and pages filled with these arrows that I would have to jot down just to get through these sections. And in case you were wondering, Hagrid looks like a human being in this version.
Ja pamiętam, to przychodziłem i nic nie znałem angielskiego, przychylkiwałem to.
Final battle
O, walka z bossem była ciężka.
It also uses the mirror gimmick,
byłem dzieciakiem, to było
but why
takie
is the
ciężkie
mirror
dla
so
mnie.
small? Also, they clearly had a hard time conveying that the voice was coming from Quirrell's turban, so they literally had a turban as the dialogue sprite. And if you thought the PC ending was quite abrupt, then get a load of this. So look, you deflect the spell at Voldemort one more time, and then he just walks into you, and bang, you're in the hospital wing with Dumbledore. Credits. Alright, so what about the Game Boy Color version? You're probably expecting it to be just like the GBA version, just with worse graphics, right? Once again, this is a completely different game, developed by a different studio. And this one is an old-school turn-based RPG. That's right, this is Final Fantasy and the Philosopher's Stone.
był
Look at
JRPG
Harry's death
Harry'ego
animation,
Pottera?
he just keels over and lays there. Yeah, after the last couple of years, I know how you feel, mate. Harry's walk cycle's pretty great too. In fact, this entire game has pretty fluid animations for Game Boy Color. This is also the only version of the game that has a Hogwarts Express segment, and the boat segment, although there's a bit of filler added, like being attacked by a tentacle. Well, that was invigorating. Hagrid, I'm not sure you want to be calling encounters with tentacles invigorating. I have to say though, the actual art in this game is really weird. Like, the character icons are weird, and Hogwarts definitely doesn't look like Hogwarts. It's filled with just strange looking statues. For example, what the fuck is that? And is that a cowboy? These are on par with Gen 1 Pokemon sprites. And why is there a giant floating bubble in this room? I don't remember that in the movie or the book. One of the rooms is just an ancient Egyptian museum. And check out these paintings on the wall. What is this supposed to be? Oh, and of course there's also a secret entrance inside a griffin's arsehole. In terms of gameplay, having a turn-based RPG Harry Potter game sounds like a cool novelty, but the game feels kind of half-baked. You only ever battle as Harry, and there's no party system, which feels like a missed opportunity. opportunity. Most of the game consists of fetch quests and random battles. This game is very faithful to the book though, even down to the small details like Malfoy first confronting Harry on the train instead of outside the Great Hall. As for the final trials, well, they're pretty much just turn-based battles. But it is nice that these developers actually took the time to animate Quirrell grabbing Harry instead of just walking into him like in the GBA version. So there we have it, the 4 Philosopher's Stone games released in 2001. But that's not quite it. There was one more version of the game released in 2003, but you're probably wondering why did they wait 2 years to release this game? Well, you see, the first movie came out in 2001, Chamber of Secrets followed in 2002, and that movie had its own game adaptations. But then there was a gap in 2003, as Prisoner of Azkaban wouldn't be released until the following year, so WB decided to use this gap to release Philosopher's Stone for PlayStation 2, Xbox and GameCube. And
ciekawe jak, słuchajcie, sprzedażowo to wypadało, nie? Jak oni, ile nakładu musieli na to wrzucić, żeby kilka różnych gier wytworzyć, nie? Na różne platformy.
This is probably the best version of the game. The static artwork has been replaced by fully rendered cutscenes, there's a proper dynamic camera, a fully fledged inventory system, quest lines, a map, spells can be assigned to buttons, there's also a tutorial section at the beginning. The castle isn't just bigger and broader in scope, it's also better laid out, with each floor representing a different class. They've even put in the work to animate the characters' face expressions, although some are a bit hit and miss.
Not that you need it, eh, Potter?
Interestingly enough, this game still doesn't use the movie soundtrack. In terms of gameplay, it shares the overall structure with the older versions, with Harry having to learn new spells via trials from the teachers. And if the Game Boy Color game was Final Fantasy, then this is definitely Zelda. Each of the spell trials is the equivalent of a dungeon, and each new spell is like a new weapon or item that can help you get through the dungeon. You can even assign them to buttons like you would in Zelda. The game is also filled with nice little touches, like, for example, Harry reacting to each bean flavor.
Chocolate. Coconut.
And you know what? Quidditch is actually pretty good in this game. You can also hop on the broom outside Quidditch matches and fly around the entire castle, which is really cool. As I said, objectively, this is the best version of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, but this game does have a big asterisk hanging over its head. Remember how I said there was a Chamber of Secrets game released a year before this one? Well, this game reuses a huge chunk of that game. Character models, the castle, the spells, the controls. I'd estimate that only about 30% of this game is actually new. But we shouldn't be too surprised. After all, this was published by EA Games, who know a thing or two about squeezing the most out of last year's game. A big chunk of that 30% is made up of the endgame trial.
Nie no, też mi się wydaje, że taki zamek to jest coś, co może być zrecyklowane, jak jest dobrze zrobione, no.
The Devil's Snare is similar to the previous gen games, catching the key is almost identical. The chess mechanics are a bit deeper, you can move several pieces this time. Okay, finally, let's fight Voldemort. Wait, are those Harry's parents, or is that Goyle and Ginny? And why does Voldemort sound like grade A under A?
Yes, you see what I've become? Wingardium Leviosa.
Wingardium Leviosa? Bullshit, he's doing full-on Palpatine. And surprise, surprise, the final battle involves having to use the mirror. Only this time, the gimmick is Harry's parents are the ones casting reflective energy at him, which allows him to send the spell back at Voldemort. And that's it, no Dumbledore waiting in the wings, just a fully rendered scene of Harry celebrating in the Great Hall. So there we are, every version of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone for you Americans. Let me know which one is your favorite in the comments.
Wiecie, dlaczego Harry Potter się w Europie nazywa Kamień Filozoficzny, a w Ameryce Sorcerer Stone? Bo stwierdzili, że amerykańskie dzieci są za głupie i nie będą wiedziały, co to jest filozoficzny kamień. Więc nazwali to Kamień Czarodzieja. Takie jest oficjalne stanowisko, możecie poczytać o tym. Uznali, że to nie będzie appealing do nastolatków, słuchajcie, amerykańskich. To jest śmieszne w chuj historia. Mają własne tłumaczenie. Z angielskiego na angielski, stary, na amerykański uproszczone.